Welcome back, everyone. We're here with some more AEL University League. Got some amazing games that we're going to be covering today. Actually, sorry, just one game, but it is going to be one to watch. And I'm here joined today with Farfetch. How you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing all right. Kind of interested to see how this battle from Group B is going to go.
Exactly right, and it's going to be very interesting. First up, we do have the USYD boosted boys going up against Southern Cross Blue. Both are kind of at the bottom stage of that leaderboard when it comes to Group B, but it is still fairly early in the tournament, and getting a win here for both teams can really serve as a huge booster.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And even if they aren't teams who are looking to be the top of the ladder or anything, because there can only be a few teams like that. And oh boy, is the top of the tournament absolutely stacked, as we talked about pretty much every cast. But yeah, they are yet to pick up more than a couple of wins. They've only played about, like, I think 4 or 5 games each, if I remember correctly. Yeah, about four or five games each, but only picking up kind of 1 or 2 games, which is a bit of a struggle. But if they can find their form throughout the rest of the season, they can kind of build up that level, which we like to see in the Uni League. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what it's all about.
Exactly right, and I always say this time and time again, the team that you'd see at the start of the term or season is completely different to the one you see at the end. A lot of teams really benefit from this competition, finding a lot more better competition to kind of practice against and really improve. But we talk about USYD Booster Boys, they're currently 1-4, their record not looking so good. So this win will give a huge morale boost to them in a way, but Southern Cross Blue, they're 2-2 at the moment, and we talk about now the top 3 teams now go through to the playoffs, and that extra spot is going to be huge for these teams. So if they can get a win here, really try and push themselves, they still might be in the running for that 3rd place.
Yeah, it's a really tricky ask, but it is still within reach. I mean, I think at this point, most teams have a shot to make it. I think the difference between the number 1 team and our number 9 team is like 3 wins. So it's technically possible for any of these teams to get in. You shouldn't rule any of them out. But it is a very hard ask, given the kind of results we've been seeing so far. If we see so the top teams in this bracket, which is at the moment really Monash, RMIT, and UOM, if we see them still keep like kind of on the trajectory they're on, then yeah, it's very unlikely. And there's a few, actually the teams just behind them, like SUT and Deakin, have also only dropped 1 game. So there's a lot of really good teams in this bracket, but you have to, if you want to start contesting that, you have to start winning, right? You kind of can't let yourself drop too many more than those couple of wins. So for Southern Cross, I think it's an exceptionally important game, but experience and practice and kind of building yourself up. Some of these teams do take a while to kind of build on themselves over the course of the tournament.
Exactly right. The teams are raring to go. They're ready to really focus on themselves and improve and try and get this series win that, you know, could really spark a run late. But we do got to give a quick shout out to our sponsors that help make this whole thing possible. Chatime, the bubble tea partner. We got Indomie instant ready noodles. Some, you know, college students, we love omegoring, we love instant ready, nice and easy, quick meal. AOC monitors, some of the best resolutions in the business, and rig headsets. Sound quality is big in every game, knowing where your opponents are, everything. So thank you very much to the sponsors for AEL University League. That being said, I think we tell the players to get on the pitch, we get going and see what they have to offer in this best of 5.
Yeah, I'm super keen. I'm very excited to see exactly what they do have. It's of course, like, again, it's not going to be it's not going to be one of those games which is like gatekeeping the top 3 kind of situation. It's not going to be as much like that, but it is one of those matches where, again, especially for Southern Cross, it's going to be really important if they do want to try and contest later in the season. But fundamentally, it is a chance for USYD as well to kind of build off what they've started so far in this season and try and like show that they are better than we expected. Double commit on the offense already is gonna leave Basic Baxter an opportunity to maybe put one in the net.
Yeah, had a really nice counter-attack opportunity there, forcing the double commit out in midfield. Just couldn't quite get back to it, couldn't find the angle to put that one on target. And it will be a tie game here, 20 seconds already, and a really good opportunity there to score, but I feel like a really nice early goal like that, especially in the first game, can really just help give that extra momentum that you need. Kind of give that boost of, okay, we got the jitters out of the way, we got the nerves out of the way, we got the first goal, but unfortunately couldn't capitalize on that run.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, it looked like Terezi trying to jump in and find a high-angle shot from that one, but Tira's managing to find a bit of a response. And of course, it is a best of 5 series. As always, CJ didn't quite get the turnaround on that. Really good just dispossession. I think it was kind of a, I don't know if this was quite a pass from T-Rez, kind of going down for the dribble and lost a bit of control. But yeah, being in the exact right position to punish that one, and USYD go up 1-0. But yeah, it's a best of 5 series, so this first game isn't everything, but the momentum you carry through into the next few games and not having to make those adaptations, it's so comfortable and can be really important in these games.
Yeah, exactly right. There's an opportunity coming out here, trying to get that second one on target, rocking the Skylar, which I do like to see in competitive play. You get really nice, powerful hits on target, as we saw from that first goal. Couldn't quite convert there, but Tira is actually beating out a few defenders in the offensive end here, but will be stopped by Victorization as they look to keep the pressure on. Shot opportunity, and it's going to be an own goal here. We talk about it all the time. It's OCE. Own goals do happen quite a bit here, but not what you want to start out this series.
I think we've actually almost had one every stream. I think it's if not every stream, we've had like an average of one per stream, and it's ridiculous. It's so, like, it's just the OS way, you know? It's got to happen once. This time, it's unfortunate that it's sort of USYD doing that service, but for now it does mean we have a tied game, and the kind of, it's felt like it's the offense mostly which we want to note about. Both teams felt like they've lacked a little bit in defense, but they've been able to set up some pretty nice attacks when they get a bit of space.
Yeah, for sure, and it's just more to do with the defensive rotations. You see, they're not really cutting in on the goal line, and if you are rotating back post, you do want to make sure you're following the goal line to try and give yourself the best opportunity. As we saw in that situation, rotating a little bit too far out in the midfield on that goal line ended up being in an awkward position not to get the save. So definitely those defensive rotations, maybe it comes down to communication or just deciding when you want to go and how far you want to push out. So definitely see if that defense can clean itself up a little bit moving forward. But yet again, we do talk, this is the first game. You know, players might be warming up. This might be the first game they've played today. You don't really know, but so far both teams, you're right, they are coming out with a really nice offense, as CJ Flames does get a really nice 50 there to put that one into the goal square, but a really nice save will send that to midfield. Tira's up nice and early, shot on target, and will find its way into the back of the net.
I actually was going to compliment the fact that Victorization has been some really good positions around the play and has had some really good offense, but Tira is kind of hitting a shot which was just a little bit too much for them and under Phoenix, to be fair. But I like the fact that individual players are stepping up here. Like, Tira has found a great opportunity on that play to manage to find the goal. A few from CJ Flames as well. On the flip side, Victorization has been especially good. You know, it's kind of buys a bit of time for the rest of the team to get warmed up, to get into the game, to start feeling themselves. And I mean, 2-1 lead right now for Southern Cross. We've still got 2 minutes and 20 seconds left, so I expect there to be at least one more goal coming through. But I like the fact that we're starting to see some of the players really pick up and really start feeling the gameplay a bit more in this series.
Yeah, and it's all if USYD will just be able to get more onto that attacking end. They're looking really strong when they get there, but they just really get enclosed on themselves when they're on the defensive end here, as they are looking to get a clear met early in the midfield. And we do see Southern Cross Blue, they're going for a very basic strategy, and it's working really well, of just clear the ball out, go for these one-touch long clears downfield, put the pressure straight back onto USYD, and it's working really well for them so far. Another opportunity here off the backboard. No one there to read that defensive end, but also no one there to score it.
Yeah, that's it. And it seems like at the moment we're seeing kind of individual plays, 1v1s, 50-50s, things like that, without as much kind of space being used. So maybe they can step up in the passing game. We could see a bit more of a few quick fire goals and things like that coming in. But of course, remember that Southern Cross, they don't have to be too stressed about trying to find a proactive play here. Really, the agency is on USYD, given this goal deficit, but actually a very tight angle coming from Baxter. Picked up on, I think that was a double commit from the defense. Under Phoenix goes up for it. And sorry, that wasn't a double commit. There was just a couple of players in the same position. Or maybe there was afterwards. I don't know. It's hard to say. But a bit of a tight angle coming in from the corner. And basic Baxter, 3-1, might have just put a bit of a nail in this game.
Yeah, definitely is that. Securing goal, we talk about, you always want a 2-goal lead in Rocket League because of the possibility of a goal after 0 seconds. But we talked about the defensive rotations as we did earlier, and just the rotating on the ball side, being in the same corner where your teammate's trying to clear it, just very awkward positioning coming out yet again. I think USYD really need to look to kind of clean that up, try and get off ball side, rotate a little bit wider, find themselves in better positions. But a lovely shot from CJ Flames coming in to, if the previous goal wasn't the nail in the coffin, this one has to be.
Yeah, and I mean, it was actually quite a nice goal, just kind of seeing it in, bopping it along with the bonnet. But you were right about the rotations, rotating tight on the ball, things like that, having too many players controlling the same space, but a bit of coordination. I mean, that's like the good news for USYD, right? Is the fact that a bit more coordination, a bit more kind of taking a breath and using space a bit better could serve them really well. Because I think they've been okay in the individual 1v1s, things like that. Unfortunately, Tira is sort of 50s both of them at the same time, but it does serve to more or less highlight the point we're talking about. There's always there's already too many players on the ball, because the thing about 1v2 is that it sounds like you get a big advantage, as possibly another one of teammates can get to it, but under Phoenix, just keeping the ball up high, and that was better usage of the space on defense. But yeah, the thing about a 1v2 is that it sounds good because it sounds like you've just got the numbers advantage, but in reality, if your opponent beats you out, then you've got way less of an opportunity to kind of recover.
Yeah, there can always be that quick counter-attack where if you have a really good opportunity, sometimes you seem to push far up the field. Maybe you relax a little bit thinking it's a 2v1, we've scored this, and that quick counter-attack can be very detrimental to the team, but can't quite get on the attacking end too much here from USYD. Just really caught themselves on defense too much. These long clears, like we just saw there, have been going really well for them, but they're just not quite able to get those defensive stops. And as you pointed out, it's a good sign because you just know that with a little bit more kind of patience, a little bit better rotations, and you are completely in this series still. It's just really a minor detail that they have to clean up.
Yeah. And that's the thing, 'cause, like, I find it's always really stressful, right? When you come into a game, or you're even trying to like analyze a game where one team just has all of the fundamentals worked out. They have all of the different individual bits of the game, which they're making work better than their opponents. That was a really weird way of putting it, but I think you know the basic point. You know, the mechanics are better, the rotations are better, the coordination, the passing play, all of those things are just going right for them. And you don't really see any comeback potential, even if the teams are quite close, because they're gapped in sort of every single area. There's no real avenue for the team who's losing to come back. But actually, CJ Flames find a very quick one, and that puts USYD right back on the back foot.
Yeah, really nice follow-up there from the kickoff. Had the momentum from the flip there. Able to get back to it and hit a very nice angle to start out here. So talk about getting that first goal. They're already on the board. They're already really carrying across what they managed to achieve in that previous game. Now really all eyes on USYD. Can they look to start to break out? Can they find the missing part of their defense to really try and get these clears? And it might start now with victorization. Look at that double touch, but Riz will be able to clear that one out to the corner under Phoenix, keeping that pressure alive. And that's really good to see that quick turn in the midfield. They're looking to try and maintain that offensive pressure. Just really nice defensive clears coming out from Southern Cross.
It's true. I like the fact that USYD keeping the pressure on a bit more. I mean, it's sort of seeming like we've got a bit more of a matched battle right at the moment. Southern Cross, they're getting rotations, they're getting clears. It's quite nice off in the defense, but USYD holding down that midfield pressure pretty well. 4 cars come into a collision there in the middle of the field, and ends up going more or less the way of Southern Cross. If they can reclaim control of this ball, they'll be in a pretty good position. Like you said, those clears coming out very nicely. Attempt for under Phoenix, try and take that 50, but just a little bit too high. And Baxter didn't quite find the angle. It's a very close 1v1, and the goals! It came into a 1v2, but the patience from T-Riz finds another one.
Watching that, I was almost panicking, thinking, you shoot, what, like, but actually the patience and just a beautiful play there from T-Riz, really trying to force out the defense, pick those gaps, and really causing the panic for the side of USYD there. So really nice goal. And I also want to give credit to CJ Flames on the defensive end to get that clear, is because they drove the ball back into their own corner with the ball in their hood, really looking to just take out time and maintain the possession game, which is one thing they're doing so well. And I think it's something USYD need to kind of take note of what Southern Cross are doing, how they can look to implement that in their own game, because it seems to be just the one thing they're lacking here is they're just trying to get those clears. But Tira is now trying to get another one on the board. Victorization will put that away, but not quite, as it just midfield challenge after midfield challenge forces them deeper in the defensive end.
Yeah, and that's something which I think we kind of have to compliment Southern Cross on as well. It's not just they're getting the clears, they're holding down the midfield, they're being able to repeatedly be exactly where USYD want to clear the ball. And that's a big testament to, I guess, their skill as a team. Because it's not just the fact that USYD can't find clears. That's not the only factor in it. It is the fact that sort of Southern Cross are in the right position. Trezzy almost picks that one up as the ball just drops in front of goal. Doesn't quite get it. A nice little pinch off the corner, though, to get yet another clear. Basic Baxter's trying to win a 1v2, doesn't quite work out. Almost a really awkward 50 win from CJ Flames, pass it back to one of their teammates. Now we have possibly another offensive chance for Southern Cross, and again, this just isn't where USYD want the ball.
Yeah, their defense picking up a little bit. They're starting to play a little bit more patient, waiting back post instead of feeling the need to cheat out. And it has worked out well. They've managed to clear the ball out a fair few times in this game compared to the last one. But now it's all about converting. Once you get past that halfway, what's the best way you can move up the field? Make sure you're maintaining that mid-boost pressure and then look to convert. Right now, they're just kind of getting 1 or 2 touches out of the defensive end. So a big improvement from what we saw in that previous game. A good beat up by CJ's Flames, tried to put that in harm's way, but couldn't quite finish that one off. And a good pass into the midfield. CJ up, couldn't get the read, will be played to the corner. And a few players out of position here from USYD. If they go quick, they might find themselves an open net. A really nice touch from CJ Flames in the midfield, but no one quite there to capitalize. Victorization now in the 1v1 situation, trying to beat out the defender, gets a nice flick, but CJ Flames is reading the play extremely well here in this game.
Yeah, fantastically, but it kind of gets turned around. That was actually CJ Flames who just flicks it across. You kind of talked about it. I mean, Tira's being able to take 2 cars out of the action, force or give CJ Flames a very open goal, but they ping it from the midfield fantastically. And something I'm realizing, and I'd probably have to have a close look at the cars, because there are definitely a few I get confused between. I think this might be, in terms of just the models themselves, the most variety we've had in cars in like one series. As Basic Baxter finds another one to put this as a 4-0 lead and probably take this game.
Yeah, well, that's actually a great point you mentioned, because we talk about the main 3 cars used in Rocket League, the Octane, the Fennec, and the Dominus, so usually at most you'll see 3 different varieties of cars, but I believe we actually have 4, maybe 5. I think we have 5 in this game. So I love to see a bunch of different cars being used. For people that know the new Rocket League car, the Dingo that just came out, I've been playing a lot in that. And I do love to see these new these cars really making their professional debut sometimes.
Yeah, it's great. And it has actually been, I have noticed it's been a bit more variety going on. I mean, everyone loves the traditional cars. Like that's kind of unlikely to change because it hasn't changed for a while, but I do like that we're seeing a bit more exploration. We saw a buggy, I think, earlier in the season. That made me uncomfortable. And the battle bus. That was the other one I wasn't super excited to see. But elsewise, yeah, it's been really cool seeing the variety. Still no Pong paddles have come out, but, you know, I'm sure in time we'll get that. That's my goal by the end of this season. Convince someone to run the breakout.
All right, well, you know, if anyone's watching and they've got a game coming up on stream, you know, do us a solid. We do love to see those fair few cars coming out, but a nice shot coming out there from Tirizzi, but just can't quite get those touches needed. I really think they can start to utilize the backboard a lot more, because one thing that we always say that in AEL High School League, the backboard is utilized defensively a lot of the time. We don't see players really rotate onto the backboard, so a lot of the time that is an entire space that is just completely free that these players can start to utilize. We saw it a little bit from Southern Cross Blue in the first game. Haven't quite seen it here. CJ Flames actually might be using it here, using the backboard, but couldn't quite capitalize. No one there. Clock will strike 0 and will be a game 2 advantage here to Southern Cross Blue.
It's a good point, because it's not something I often think about in terms of backboard usage and things like that, but it can be a good way to generate space sometimes. Helps you with those big rotational saves if you don't quite have enough boost to get to contest some of the higher shots. Including like those waterfalls and things we haven't seen as much in this game, but that is a good point. So, and I feel like we kind of talked about the fact that USYD had to take a breath and use space a bit more, and they did, to be fair. Southern Cross still kind of stepped up and adapted, but maybe that's the other thing. Maybe not just thinking about, when I say using space, I mean like creating space between them, not clumping in the same area. I feel like they did a bit better at that. Not perfectly, but a bit better. And I agree, if they can use other parts, if they can kind of coordinate that a little bit better again, and then also have ways to use the backboard, think more laterally about the game, I actually quite like that as an idea, possibly even finding use of the sideboards as well, which we saw Southern Cross doing quite well to kind of create those clears.
Yeah, exactly right, and that is great for Southern Cross Blue to kind of know that they have a few different things in their arsenal. As a really nice infield pass play coming in. Tira is putting that one away. Really nice play using the sideboard. A bit of a 50 in the corner, but just really nice to get that into the midfield instead of trying to roll it through the corner. Really forcing out the defense, because we know USYD's rotations are a little bit awkward. So forcing that high ball into the goal square, really nice use of space.
And also the fact that Southern Cross aren't afraid to just get up in the face of USYD a little bit. Like, we've seen times where they've just kind of knocked 2 players at once. It hasn't been super important, but oh, another one straight down the middle of the field from CJ Flames once again. But that's something else Southern Cross have had. I don't really know where, like, what you do about that if you're like kind of a team like USYD, because if you start tunneling on it, then you start you drop your rotations even more, and it's like, yeah, maybe there are other things to focus on. But I think it's worth noting that Southern Cross are kind of taking that physicality as well, so that's not even something which USYD can find. Maybe a kickoff goal, though, but a very good, gentle, like, composed save, I guess. It wasn't necessarily the best save of all time. There's the points. Under Phoenix just gets demoed, and CJ Flames just carries it across field into the goals.
Yeah, this is when you start getting very confident in your own ability to have the patience, make those tough reads, make those tough saves. And Southern Cross, they've won the 2 previous games pretty comfortably. They're already got a lead here. This is when you start really feeling yourself as a player, start to play a lot more composed. But USYD, they're just really kind of making life hard for themselves. A lot of the goals that Southern Cross is scoring at the moment just seem to be off their own mistakes, forcing double commits in the midfield. A little bit of whiffing in midfield because they're just cheating a little bit too far up instead of rotating a bit deeper. And I really like that because it means that you have, as we talked about, you have a lot of space to improve. USYD, a few things, if they can work on that, you know, they can really look to come back in this series. But it's also detrimental to see to a team is you're almost losing this game yourself with those rotations and just really forcing yourself into these awkward positions, and Southern Cross doing a really good job at capitalizing on it.
Yeah, and also, it's worth mentioning, USYD have other teams in the league. I think they have 3 other Rocket League teams in particular. So if they kind of are getting together, if they're making sure to scrim some games to play, to practice, there is such a quick avenue, well, not a quick avenue necessarily, but such a good avenue to get a bit of advice to be like, hey guys, you know, let's work together on this, let's build as an org. And really develop these players, because that's something else which I think we do talk about a fair bit on the broadcast, but it's super important. Not every team is like the best Rocket League player in the world coming straight off the bat. We see some huge talent in the Uni League, but a lot of it's about developing more talent and trying to get better and find some of these newer players who then become, if not dominant forces, definitely notable ones in sort of the Oceanic scene elsewhere. And I'd really like to see that. I think that that's something which having other teams in the same university can do. Victorization almost gets it, but doesn't quite.
Yeah, really just trying to... They're getting on the offensive end. Now almost a double touch coming out. Just can't quite put this away. Almost dangling in front of net. Just can't quite convert. But that is a great point to notice, is that I talk about this team from last season. They made a deep run in the playoffs. I think they made a top 3 run. RMIT Red, where individually they weren't the most over-accomplished team. As, you know, Baxter putting another one, just unfortunate touch there from USYD, letting that one fall its way into net. But yeah, RMIT Red, not the best individually, but as a team, they worked so well. They grinded the game. They made a huge improvement from week 1 when it came to playoffs, and made a deep, really upset run in that upper bracket in the playoffs. And that's what we talk about with the University League, is over the course of these weeks, over the course that your team is together, you can just build such a good team chemistry that as a team, you can really take down some really amazing teams in Uni League.
Yeah, and I think that's it, right? That's exactly the point. And sharing that across between other players, between things like that, between other parts of the same organization is fantastic. But it does seem like that's not, well, that in particular. That was kind of an awkward segue. It does seem like USYD's going to have to make a bit more of that work to pick up more wins. They already do have one on the board, though, and that's huge. That's absolutely massive to be able to sort of pick up any wins in this sort of a league, given how hotly contested it's been lately. It's a really good start. And genuinely, I really like the mechanics coming out of them. So if they can get some of that help, if they can get that teamwork you were talking about, like the RMIT, like RMIT Red in particular, but I think we've seen a fair bit of good stuff from a few of the RMIT teams. But like, when I did look over while we're kind of discussing it, there are a couple of undefeated USYD teams, I think, and there's another one who, like, I think the Milk Guzzlers are the only one of the ones who aren't, but they're still like 3-1. So they clearly have some good resources to work with, and I really hope that there is that kind of camaraderie in the uni, because like you may as well, right? Like you may as well be building up those players, because one of your players might leave over time. They might not be able to make next season. You might have that extra player and extra talent being fostered, and then they can grow more talent and stuff like that. So I do like it, and that is something we've seen from some great universities. I think RMIT was a particularly good example. This Basic Baxter finds another one for a 7-0 scoreline.
Yeah, might even look for the to give a goal up, get the famous Brazil that we do like to see on stream sometimes. But yeah, really nice goal coming out there, and you're exactly right. I would love to see a lot of that camaraderie come in. You know, maybe even like a university esports program coming out where these players can really look to play not even in their own teams, but amongst each other, because that's just going to improve them so much more. I think USYD have some great capabilities that they can really look to take advantage of. Just that little bit of teamwork coming out, I think, trusting in each other to make those saves, solid rotations, and we could see a completely different USYD side. But as of now, Southern Cross Blue, they're just having a field day. They're really feeling themselves. They're hitting those shots, really nice rotations. As CJ Flames has hit a few nice redirects like that. Tira is looking to follow it up, couldn't quite, but Southern Cross Blue just seems to be that next step ahead at the moment, and they are playing really well and really wanting to try and make that, I was going to say late season run into the playoffs, but we're still we're halfway through almost. It's not really late season, there's still plenty of time.
There is, and this puts them positive in terms of their wins and losses, right? It puts them at 3-2, and I'd have to double check which teams they'd played already, because if that's two of the top teams, then they like have such an easy second half of the season. And actually, I might check that one just now to see which teams they've played. Unfortunately, I closed their team tab like an absolute nerd. But yeah, like if they have a good sort of schedule, I'd absolutely. It's not even that kind of. Wouldn't even be that shocking, I guess, to see them make a run like that. But I do think it's going to take a lot of work from them, and there are going to have to improvements even from this game, even though they've looked that good so far.
Exactly, and a really nice save, actually, I just want to point out, coming out from under Phoenix, working on those defensive rotations already, able to be in the right spot, get a clutch goal line save, but not quite enough as Southern Cross Blue take out the clean sweep, and that's unfortunately all the games that we have today, but what a really good game to kind of demonstrate these players' capabilities. We talked about USYD, we talked about just the ability they have moving forward. Hopefully, as we said, they go and talk to the other teams in USYD, use those resources. We can see them next time on stream come back a lot stronger. Southern Cross Blue, they've made that run. They got the series win that they needed. And if one of the other teams that's currently 4-1 take a loss, then they could look to really push up the ranks.
Yeah, they could. And the answer to my question, the two teams they've lost against are two of our top two teams. It was Monash and RMIT Red, who we just talked about as well. So sort of good astute pointing that one out. So fundamentally, they have not easy teams, but easier teams to go. We don't have a full information on Group B because there are still a few games to play in this round, especially. But like if you're going to lose to teams, those are pretty good ones to lose to, in my opinion. They look so dominant. They look so strong. So I really do believe that's actually still me with a lot of confidence that Southern Cross could make a late season run. I think it's going to be, I do think they have to lift a bit. I think there have been some mistakes, which you, Sid, were kind of picking up on at points in that series. But you've won me over. I really think they can do it.
Yeah, look, I love the underdog. I love, when it comes to playoffs, when it comes to these groups, I like seeing those teams make those late runs, just quite pushing in, almost your fairy tale ending in a way. So I do like to see that, but unfortunately that is all from us today. I really look to see Southern Cross Blue move on. I believe we will be able to see some more games on stream on Friday with yourself and Formal. So definitely, look to tune in then. Hopefully we can get some games going. That is all from us today. We do want to say thank you for watching, and we will catch you all next time.